Get ready for a powerhouse of inspiration. Principal Baruti Kafele. A highly regarded educator and a transformational leader, Principal Kafele has spent over 20 years in New Jersey's urban schools, making a lasting impact as both a master teacher and a turnaround principal. Under his leadership, the mighty Newark Tech transformed from a low-performing school to one of America's best, as recognized by U.S. News and World Report 3 times. A recipient of the prestigious Milken Educator Award, Principal Kafele is one of the most sought-after voices in school leadership and equity. He's delivered over 3,000 keynotes, workshops, and seminars across the nation, authored 13 books, including 7 ASCD bestsellers, and continues to empower leaders through his live-streamed AP and New Principals Academy. Please join us in welcoming the extraordinary Principal Baruti Kafele.
And we are live. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Welcome to week 246 of the AP and New Principals Academy. Let me see who we got checking in this morning, man. We got Constance Sherrod down in Pearl, Mississippi. Y'all got some snow down there, Constance. Like what's going on, man? What's going on? Mona Obamolak is in Orlando, Florida. We got the good doctor, Rachel Edowekit, Maryland, president-elect. I should have asked you that, which one it is at this point, but of the Maryland NAESP affiliate. So that and also she's been a guest on here twice and got a third one lined up for later in the year. We got Michael Benson, Cincinnati, Ohio, in the building. Leslie Akintunde, Northern Virginia. Takesha High in Virginia. Nadira Coley is in Newark, New Jersey, right here. Vanessa Bell, Chattanooga. I was just there. Tennessee, and we had a blast too. Marsha Poe in San Diego. Glad we finally connected, Marsha. And she'll be with us later in the year as well. Yolanda McKinney, glad we connected. Good to see you. Robin Snowden in the building. She said Hotep and Harambe, Fresno, California. Please pray for the families in Southern California impacted by the fires, not just famous folk, it's regular people like us. Psalm 91. We're going to talk about that in a few minutes, Robin. We got Rodney Richardson in the building. Hampton, Virginia. Grace Castaneda, Kyle, Texas. Ronald Pugh, Cedar Hill, Texas. Caesar Albin, Charleston, South Carolina. Dr. Sandra Merriweather, Austin, Texas. Ruben Castaneda, Kyle, Texas. I guess I said that one. Stacy Joy, I see you, and I'm glad to see you out there in Los Angeles, and we're going to talk about it in a few minutes. Dr. Rella Hicks is in Augusta. Tracy Farris, glad to see you, also in Los Angeles. Tracy Gray, Houston, Texas. Where we at? Deborah Melton Brown. Rod Laws, Hotep and Harambe. Lynette Wilson. Arlene Adams is in the building from Huntsville, Texas. Lynette is in North Carolina. Rod Laws is in Greenville, North Carolina. There's Dr. Tammy Alexander, mom of Amara, who's one of my guests today, Huntsville, Alabama. We got Tracy Gray in Houston, Texas. Dr. Sheikah Houston is in the building. Did you see her? Man, they had a powerful session this morning. I said, man, I gotta go greet my guests. But as soon as I get off of here today, I'm going right back to Create and Educate. So if you didn't see Create and Educate, I would call this, and I hope I'm not crossing the line when I say this, Dr. Houston, but this was a special session, right? This was truly special, man. J.R. Green, Dr. J.R. Green, superintendent down in Fairfield. I think he left there though now. I'm not sure. I think he did, but he was just dropping gems and jewels, man. I'm going right when I finish this, I'm going back to resume it. So that's Create and Educate every morning, every Saturday morning, 10:30 Facebook Live. Sean Hurt, who's always dropping pearls of wisdom at 10 o'clock, Facebook Live. I come on and I try to do a little something at 10:55, and then with my guests, and then Josh Tovar and Dr. Madi Moreno, PDP podcast on Sundays at 7 o'clock, that Eastern time, all of these Facebook Live. I see the queen of the castle. The castle, man, this place is so palatial. You got to see it. Nah, y'all know I'm just playing, man. Kimberly Broad Kafele in the building. We got where we at? Victoria Lightfoot, Raleigh, North Carolina, MPA Jaguars. That's Josh Tovar. I got to spend the day with him this past, I guess it was Monday, I think, right? So I got to spend the day at his school with his staff. Good time there, great time. Melissa Jones Tuna was in Tulsa. Good to see you. Brittany Ruse, good morning to you. Principal Tammy Taylor, that's Dr. Principal Tammy Taylor, the other half of Create and Educate, always dropping that knowledge. Annette McMahon is on. I hope I didn't. McMahon, that's probably the way it is. Aurora, Illinois. I'm getting ready to wrap it up, y'all, so we can get started. I see David Bell. I see Shanae Joy Moore in Charlotte. David, where we at? David Bell is in Benton Harbor, Michigan. Where we at? Dot McKeever Jeter, I see you. In fact, I think I'm gonna end with I see one of my Milken sisters here, Stephanie Bishop. I see you. So I think I'm gonna end it right there. Well, let me end it with another. I see another Milken, Asia Cunningham, who was with us last week. If you missed last week's interview, make sure you go back and see that. We call it Milken January 2025. So Stephanie Bishop, Asia Cunningham, great to see you. I'm gonna end it right there. I see so many familiar names, but we got a lot to talk about, y'all. We got a lot to talk about, and the numbers are popping. So let me go and about saying to everybody now, good morning, greetings, welcome to week 246 of the AP and New Principles Academy. Man, I told y'all, I got to bring it down, and I feel like I'm elevating. So let me bring it down, Kafele, right? But I still want to ask you the question, as I always ask you, how you feeling, y'all? How you doing? How are you doing? How you feeling? I'm gonna tell you, I'm gonna use this to transition to Southern California. I've not been good, and I'm not in Southern California, but I've met so many people there over the years through the work I do, and some of them are fam of the AP and New Principles Academy, so I want to say this. Stacey L. Joy is fam. She lives in Los Angeles. Jasmine Harris is fam. I think she's in LA as well. And then Tracy Farris, I've gotten to know a little bit more recent as far as the academy. She's fam, right? And then others who are from LA, I don't know that you're from LA as far as fam to the platform because you haven't identified yourselves as Los Angeles. But I'm going to tell you, man, thoughts and prayers to all the fam. First, all the fam that tune in, if somebody, is dealing with the worst of it, but you still tuned in, thoughts and prayers to all the fam, the AP and New Principles of Fam, who have been impacted adversely by the wildfires in Los Angeles, but also to the folks who are not fam, right? Just my humanity to everybody out there. I've been watching it, kind of religiously more than I watched cable news lately. And just watching in complete disbelief. I don't know that I knew, this is me, maybe it's my ignorance. I didn't know that, fire. I just didn't know that whole communities could be wiped out like that. I'm sure that's probably surprising, shocking to others as well. Wildfires are nothing new to California, but to see entire communities, to see an area that exceeds the size of Miami, Florida, that's mind-boggling, right? So just again, thoughts, prayers, to anybody out there who's impacted, folks on the call who are not living in LA, but you have family and friends who are. That means that you're impacted, right? I don't have family in Los Angeles to my knowledge, but colleagues who I call friends and fam to this academy, that means I'm indirectly impacted as well, right? So our minds are on you. Wish we could do more. But hopefully those who are losing those homes, hopefully those insurance companies are coming through. I'm here that many are not, but hopefully they're coming through, and folks can have some semblance of what they used to know in as short a period of time as possible, right? So we wanted to say that, and probably going to go back to it as well before we finish up today. So again, but particularly, there's one more I wanted to name. Those were fam of the platform, but now I got another name. We call this Milken January 2025, right? Well, the executive vice president of the Milken Educator Awards is Dr. Jane Foley. She was a guest on here last year for Milken January 2024. So I reached out to her 2 days ago, and she got right back to me. And she lives in the Palisades. That's the epicenter. But somehow, some way, her house was spared, which is a blessing. It's probably a lot of smoke and that type of thing that got inside, but the house is still standing. But that's Dr. Jane Foley. I don't know that she's on here now. She may be. I know she tunes in, but she's not in her home. The house is standing, but she can't live in it right now. So she's she's staying in a hotel, right? But I just want to shout her out as well, particularly with us being in this Milken month. This is how I just celebrate my Milken colleagues, by bringing them on, and we talk leadership, but it's Milken folks who have won the Milken Award. But she is the one who has actually given the award more than anybody else that gives the awards on doing the notification. She's the one that travels all over the country. Stephanie Bishop does a lot of it now. Lowell Milken, the founder, who will be my one-on-one guest the last Saturday in January, the founder of the Milken Educator Award, Lowell Milken, will be my one-on-one guest on that final Saturday of January. So you don't want to miss that, right? But and I'm not sure how he was impacted, because I don't know what part of LA he lives in. But I do know Jane Foley was impacted, right? So thoughts and prayers to Dr. Jane Foley as well, right? Let's move on. Shout out to Memorial Pathway Academy, Principal Josh Tovar's school. Just had a great day with them. Great day all day. With his staff and with Josh. Took me out to lunch, got some Mexican food. We had a good time. Shout out to Hamilton County school administrators, the ones who were invited to hear me in Chattanooga, Tennessee this past, I think it was Tuesday, I'm pretty sure, Wednesday, Tuesday, I think it was Tuesday. Man, I had a blast with them. I got to say that I had a blast, man. It's when you walk into a room and, folks like recognize you, man, they smiling, man, they want pictures and all that kind of stuff. You just feel at home, versus when you go places and you got to like introduce yourself. See, when you walk in, the people know you. It's like, nah, I won't even quote rappers right now, but instead, it's just, folks know you, so you can just jump into it. You don't have to introduce yourself to the crowd, So it was just a good day. Shout out to my man, Dr. Marquise Stewart, for the invitation as well. He's also fam of this academy, and he's been on here. In fact, he even said the week number 190. That's how I know it, because he said it when he introduced me to the audience. So check him out as well. Welcome to all the first timers today. But if this is in fact your first time, that means you have missed 245 sessions. Missed 245 sessions. That means I want you to go to YouTube, subscribe to the AP and New Principles Academy YouTube channel. Again, subscribe. Let me say it again. Subscribe. Let me say it one more time. Subscribe. Don't just watch. Subscribe. And then a little bell will appear once you subscribe. That's the notification bell. Click that too. That way you'll be reminded when I go live on Saturdays at 10:55 or any other time I go live, 10:55 Eastern. So make sure you subscribe. We are over 23,000 subscribers. That's not lightweight at all. That's like a blessing. Nothing to sneeze at. But quite frankly, as I say every week, I want to be at 100,000. because there are far more than 23,000 administrators in the United States. And some of those subscribers are international, right? So just hit the subscribe button, particularly if you're in leadership. I want to be at 100,000 because I know the worth and value of this platform, right? I say that with no hesitation, no reservation, no trepidation. I know the worth and value of this platform, including my 3 guests, what they're going to bring today. So make sure that you subscribe to the channel. Those YouTube shorts that I've been telling y'all to check out, I deleted them all last night. I said them last year, we were getting like 1,000 views plus 2,000 views on those shorts. And this year I'm getting like 200 to 300. I said the algorithms ain't working with me. And after about, I don't know, maybe 6 or 7 weeks, and it was the same thing. That's algorithms. I said, well, later for this mess. So I literally deleted all those shorts videos on my YouTube channel. Someone might say, man, you should have thought that one through. Now they gone. But the AP and New Principals Academy Facebook page, I'm getting ready to ratchet that up to another level. So we're going to be doing different videos on there, different writings on there. I thought I was going to delete that the other night, but Facebook wouldn't let me delete it. So my interpretation, my wife would tell you, I was on for an hour trying to delete that AP and New Principals Academy Facebook page, and I couldn't. So, and I kept saying to my wife, this thing won't go. So then when I slept on it later, I said, God said, I ain't letting you delete this. That's what that was. God said, you can't let this go. I got 10,000 followers on that page. God said, I ain't letting you let this go. So I'm not going to show you I'm not going to let you figure this out. So then the next morning, which was yesterday, I said, okay, I know what I got to do. I know how I need to revamp that page. So stay tuned. I'm getting ready to make that page something real valuable, right? So stay tuned. That's all I got to say on that. My Leadership Institute, my Instructional Leadership Institute, that's going to be in July 15th and 16th July, right? Raleigh, North Carolina, in person. Want y'all to join me, man. July 15th, July 16th, we are talking nothing but but instructional leadership. That's where we're going. So go to principalcafele.com, scroll down to where you see it, the Instructional Leadership Institute. You'll see it. Click the link there and then register. And I'll see you in Raleigh, North Carolina, July 15 and 16. Everybody gets a copy. You see that joint right there? What is my value instructionally to the teachers I supervise? My new joint? Well, everybody gets a free copy. So if you already got it, you'll get it and give it to somebody else, right? But the first 50 people get my book, The Principal 50. The first 50 people to register. So if you wanted the first 50, you get 2 books. But everybody, that's the most important book I ever wrote, man. That's it right there. All right. Let's go, y'all. I got a monologue, man. And I'm gonna bring up my guest, but I need y'all to bear with me a second. I got 2 monologues, right? I got 2 in 1, but I'm gonna go quick. This is January. That means that this is MLK month, Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. month. And as people that know me a little bit better than others, I've disciplined myself during the month of January. All I do is read what I read is King. I just read King. I read the same books over and over. I want to show you a book. Where do we go from here? Chaos or community? See, if you're really going to know King, to see people, they think they know Dr. King. So, I know the Montgomery bus boycott. I know Birmingham the Montgomery bus boycott 55, 56. I know Birmingham in 63. I know Selma in 65. I know King went to Chicago in 66, but they really don't know much about him, right? If you want to know the fullness of King, don't necessarily get caught up in the reading what other people wrote about him. Read his words. Read his words. This book that he wrote in 1967, he wrote it in Ocho Rios, Jamaica. Isolated himself in a cottage, and he wrote. This will tell you who King is better than any biographer, any researcher, any writer, any scholar, any book, article that they put, the research that they put together. This from the words of the man himself. And not in terms of his life, but in terms of his mind, right? What it is, where he was in his thinking and what he had planned on doing moving forward before his assassination. It's all here. But what I love most about this book, there's a whole section on education. I think a couple of years ago on this platform, because we in year 5 now, I read some of those excerpts, and I probably will do it again next week because that'll be closer to the holiday. But his position on education, most people can't articulate that. They'll quote the "I have a dream" speech and before the mountain, the mountaintop speech and all that. But Dr. King was very poignant in his position on education. And a lot of it sounds a lot like Dr. Carter G. Woodson. And see, a lot of times people don't see King that way. So this book, go to Amazon and get it now. So I get 2 books. Get Where Do We Go From Here? Chaos or Community? And then get this while you're there. What is my value instructionally to the teachers I supervise? In fact, let's just put it on the screen to remind somebody. Let's put it right up here. I gotta get my guests here too, but I got something else to tell y'all. Let's put it right there. Let me get rid of this. Yeah, there it is. Keep it in your purview for a minute. What is my value instructionally to the teachers I supervise? It was number 1 all week, and then it took a slide yesterday. It's like last time I checked, it was number 9 on Amazon, man. Bring me back to number 1, y'all. It's like number 9 this morning. I'm like, 9, what happened, man? Right? So take me back to number 1 in administration, man. That's where I want to be, because this book is so important. How you going to lead a school and you are of no value instructionally to the teachers you supervise? Let me say that again. This is not even my monologue. I just got to say it. How do you call yourself a leader of a school, whether you be a principal, whether you be an assistant principal, and you are of no value instructionally to the teachers that report to you? Hey, superintendent, how you going to call yourself a superintendent and you have principals leading yours? Read the post I wrote yesterday when I draw the analogy between football and school leadership, where I said that the principals are the offensive line to the superintendent. Take a read. It's on my Facebook page. Just like a quarterback, I don't care how great you are. I don't care if you Tom Brady, right? If you don't have an offensive line to protect you, you're not going to be able to exhibit those skills. Well, if you're a superintendent, but your front line, your offensive line, your principals are disgruntled, they're unsatisfied, they don't like working for you, they feel mistreated, then guess what? You're not going to be a successful superintendent. The principals are your offensive line. And as long as they're happy, you can shine, superintendent. But that's not even my monologue. Listen, y'all, let me get to it. I'm going to keep it short. I'm not going to do everything I said I was going to do. We're in the beginning of a new school year. I'm going to keep that book up there for a minute. We're in the beginning of a new school year. I mean, a new calendar year within the school year. I want to revisit this, your school's mission. I'm in a lot of rooms, folks, with educators, whether it be leaders or staff, where folks don't know the mission of the school. And if you don't know the mission of the school, that means the school has no mission. It is missionless. But wait a minute, Principal Kafele, it's right here on the wall. That's just a wall. That's just wall decoration. Nobody knows that. So it's just, it makes your school look aesthetically pleasing because you got this nice poster on the wall. It doesn't mean anything. It means something when everyone can recite it without looking at it. So if they can't recite it, then you have no mission. You are missionless. Imagine a missionless school. If it's difficult to imagine a boat or a ship with no rudder. You can't steer it. It just wanders with the wind, right? So I'm saying to you, if your school, if everybody in that building that breathes life does not know that mission, then we're talking about you in a missionless school. Because so let me give you this, and then I'm gonna stop. I gave the word mission my own personal definition. I give you all, many of you on the fam know, I give a lot of words my own personal definition, right? Mission. I've seen all the scholarly words and definitions and so forth, but I said, nah, they ain't working for me. I got my own. Hear me, somebody. I said, the mission of a school, your mission is who you are and what you're about. Period. Let me say it again. Who you are and what you're about. Let me say it again. Who you are. Let me say it louder. Who you are and what you're about. That's your mission. Let's say that no one knows it, or let's say it's not written, or let's say it's old and obsolete. Then let me go back to that definition one more time, because it's going to sting somebody. Somebody going to say, ouch. You can just put ouch right in the comment too when I say this. Who you are and what you're about. Well, if it's unknown or unwritten, then you ain't nobody and you ain't about nothing. Woo! Let me give you that again. You ain't nobody and you ain't about nothing. Let me go back to that definition in case you missed it. Who you are and what you're about. You ain't nobody and you ain't about nothing. Now, if I was in the parking lot, I might switch that word nothing to a word that got a little more sting to it, but we ain't going to do that on this live broadcast. That might go viral, right? So who you are and what you're about. That means that we all walking, you know, we like we have our own independence and autonomy, but we all walking according to the mission. In those classrooms, everything is functioning according to the mission. In terms of our leadership is driven by the mission. But if we have no mission, or we don't know a mission, then we all just moving about. It's just chaos. Dr. King said on the title, where do we go from here? Chaos or community? See, you want that school to be community, but you got to be rooted. You got to be grounded. You got to be planted in your mission. And I'm going to close it this way. How long? Hey, Principal Kafele, how long's the mission got to be? Oh, man, I'm glad you asked me that question, baby. One potent sentence should suffice. Can you imagine? Well, how are we going to learn it? Because after you do your flag salute in the morning, or whatever your sequence is in the morning announcements, then their whole schools remain standing. And one of the students will lead them in reciting the mission. Then when you have your assemblies, the mission. When you have your staff meeting, the mission. When you have your PTA, the mission. Anytime you got folks come together in numbers, the mission. Guess what? They'll know that bad boy within the first few days of school. But then we'll go the whole year and we're going to recite that mission. You see them in the hallway. You in the hallways walking, pull some kids over. What's the mission? Boom, 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 boom. All five of them recite, right? So it's just creating a culture where the mission matters. I'll talk about vision next week, right? I got guests here. They ready, man. When I told them I said, you know, most people know we on here like 2 hours. One of them was like, 2 hours, right? I said, well, if y'all give me short answers, we could be done quick. And y'all, the regular people on here, y'all be hearing my guests, man. They be like they take the microphone, man. It's like a keynote address, some of them, right? And I don't stop them, right? So here, one day, and my mother got on me on the phone too. She's like, "Why you stopped the lady like that?" Right? I said, "Man, she was going. It was the first question, right?" Let me stop, y'all. Let me get my guest up here. My brother. Let me get my guest up here. Here we go. They here, man. Milken in the building.
We are here.
How y'all
doing? We are. Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning. Good
And look,
morning.
come on and bring that 2 hours. What's up? We're ready for you.
We
are ready.
A lot of people
ready to go.
Platforms, man. Hey, y'all, the first NFL game doesn't come on till 4:30. So y'all ain't got no excuse, right? So y'all rock with us until we gonna go to 4:30 today, right?
Wow.
Okay.
No, we
ready.
Y'all know. Hey, to the fam, you know I'm joking. Yeah, hey, Sheikah, man, they all Deltas.
That's right. Throw it up, throw it up, throw it up. That's right, that's right.
I need to call my daughter Cabria, she's AKA, and put her in here to break this up a little bit. Right?
So, will be.
Hey, hey folks, let me get serious now. Let me read the bios of each of my guests here. We got Dr. Amara Alexander, dedicated educator with I'm gonna read fast, y'all, with over 17 years of experience and unwavering passion for advanced STEM education, currently serving as the principal of Orchard Knob Middle School in Chattanooga, Tennessee. She has demonstrated a lifelong commitment to academic excellence and leadership. Amara has taught fifth grade language arts, but found her true passion in teaching sixth grade science. Her drive to grow led her to a variety of enrichment opportunities, including participation in the Honeywell Educator at Space Camp, Missile Defense Agency STEM Education Development Workshop, and the American Geoscience Institute ExxonMobil STEM Teacher Leadership Academy. In 2018, she left her home state of Alabama and moved to Tennessee to pioneer a K-5 STEM lab at Woodmore Elementary. The STEM lab invited students to engage in hands-on, minds-on learning through inquiry-based learning. Recognized for her outstanding educational contributions, Amara was selected as an Albert Einstein Distinguished Educator Fellow in 2019, serving as the Library of Congress, and honored as the 2016 Alabama Milken Educator of the Year. She is an alumna of Alabama Agricultural and Mechanical University. She earned both a Bachelor of Science and a Master of Education in Elementary Ed. Amara furthered her academic journey with a degree in educational leadership from the University of Tennessee, Knoxville, and a doctorate in STEM education from the University of South Carolina. Finally, a proud member of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated, Amara is deeply engaged in her community. Beyond her professional achievements, she finds joy in reading, traveling, attending live music events, and indulging her creative side by constructing intricate Lego sets.
Hey.
Good
That's
stuff.
right. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. How are you?
Dr. Cheryl Watson sent me the short bio. And
you said short.
I know, I didn't know you were gonna send it that short though. But no, actually, I'm glad you did. I wish the other two are as short. But
you said no longer than half a page. I think that was a little longer than half a page.
Right? But when I read this, do know that Dr. Watkins' bio is probably 2 pages long, right? Is an educator by profession who fell in love with teaching as a child. She started her professional career with the 3rd largest school district in the United States as a special education teacher. During her 33-year tenure, that would be Chicago. Yeah, during her 33-year tenure, she rose through the ranks, serving in many positions, including special ed teacher, assistant principal, deputy chief of schools, and prior to retiring, chief of schools. As the founder and lead consultant with Monarch Educational Consultants, LLC, she provides leadership coaching and conducts workshops on emotional intelligence, empathy, and issues of race and equity. Dr. Watkins is an award-winning educator with recognitions at the local, regional, national levels. She is active within the field of education, serving on several committees and foundations that impact change within education. Dr. Watkins is an adjunct professor and a published author. What year did you earn the Milken?
2008.
2008.
That's right.
Right before me in 2009.
That's right.
And then proud principal Alicia Harris leads Bridgeport Elementary School in Wayne Township, Indianapolis, with a servant's heart and an unwavering commitment to student success. With 3 decades of experience in education, she has dedicated her career to fostering positive school cultures, building strong communities, and ensuring every child has the opportunity to thrive. An Indiana University graduate, class of '95, Principal Harris has held her key held key leadership positions across Indianapolis. She previously served as assistant principal at South Wayne Junior High School in Wayne Township, as assistant principal in Greenbrier Elementary School in Washington Township, principal of Winding Ridge Elementary School in Lawrence Township, and she's made her way back to serve as principal where her career began in Wayne Township. Each role honed her expertise in uniting teams, advancing instructional practices, and removing barriers to educational excellence. A milestone in her career came in 2001 when she was honored with the Milken Educator Award, a national recognition celebrating her visionary leadership and exceptional contributions to education. Today, she continues to leverage her skills and passion to elevate Bridgeport Elementary, focusing on stability, collaboration, and innovative strategies to support every learner. She leads with the philosophy of servant leadership, ensuring her actions and decisions prioritize the needs of students, staff, and the community. Under her guidance, initiatives like the Giants Marketplace reflect her deep commitment to eliminating barriers for Wayne Township families and creating school environments where scholars and families feel supported and empowered. Finally, as a proud principal and lifelong learner, Alicia Harris embodies the belief that every child deserves an excellent education and every educator deserves the tools and encouragement to succeed. She's a shining example of leadership, compassion, and the transformative power of education. Woo!
Hey, y'all.
A lot of accomplishment for y'all, man. That's a lot of stuff, a lot of good stuff you've been doing. I'm before we get to our talking points, I just got some questions that I had for you, and I'm gonna start with Dr. Alexander. And I didn't tell you all off mic, but I'm gonna tell you now and live. The fam that's on here regularly, they already know this. Anybody that comes on here with a doctorate, even if I know you by your first name, I don't use it, right? I use your doctor, and then Principal Harris. I'm gonna call you Principal Harris, not Alicia, right? Why do I do that? Because I bet you there's a good percentage of people that are on here right now or who will see the video later who started the process and then they stopped because life got in the way. So by me saying doctor, 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 that just serves as a reminder, I need to get back working, right? So here we go. Doc, before coming to Tennessee, you were awarded the Milken Award while you were a teacher in Alabama. Talk to us about that moment when your name was called and you not knowing, because none of us know, right? So you not knowing it was going to be you. What, if you can recall, what did you feel? Here's mine. What did you feel in that moment? That was my moment, right? What did you feel in that moment?
Principal Cafella, just thank you for having me on. But I think it's one of those things that you really you don't forget. And in the moment, it just seems so surreal what is happening and what's going on. So when I was in the auditorium at Horizon Elementary, we were in the cafeteria, and I had the fortune honor of having Jane be at my announcement. And so that in itself was beautiful. And so you're like, they gotta, somebody's getting some money here. Yeah. And I had the honor and the privilege. I was not there. My mother is also a Milken educator. So I was not there when she had an award. Really? She is, really. She was first class in Alabama. Nice. Shout out to Mom. I know she's on here. I think she's 98. I'm not sure. She can put it in the chat. Nice. So I kind of I knew about the award. And so in the ceremony, I'm like, somebody getting something. I don't know who it is, but somebody getting something. So in my mind, I'm looking at teacher leaders in the cafeteria. I'm like, they can get it. They can get it. They can get it. And then all of a sudden, it's like, and the award goes to Amara Alexander. And I'm like, who is that? That moment of just being surreal and not thinking that it is you, and the thinking of I'm not worthy enough for this, because at the end of the day, we all just go to school to teach our kids. I was going to school to impart science into my students, which is really my love, my passion to be able to do that for kids, particularly kids of color. So I think for me, it was something that I went back and I watched the video because this was happening. I'm like, you just don't realize what's happening in the moment. It's a lot of other things going on around you. But for me, I would just say it was surreal, that out of body experience that sometimes maybe you felt before, but is this me? Is this really happening right here in this in this cafeteria? And because my mother, you know, when you have the other Milken educators are invited, and so my mother was not there. But as soon as she rounded the corner, you know, tears and of joy and being able to share that moment with each other. I think she was more excited because she'd had the moment before. So being able to share that with me, it was one of those things you really can't describe, but a memory I will forever. It's a core memory, something I will always have.
I love it. I love it. And let me correct my guy here. Where I saw it, just I can't find it now, but I know here it is. No. All right. Hey, Dr. Joe Griffin, her mom's not 98. She won, she won she won the award in 98. Yeah.
I want her to see 98, but yeah, she won the award in 1998.
Yeah, she won the award in 1990. There it is. I see it. Yeah, no, not 98-year-old.
Oh,
not yet.
Yeah, not yet. Let's speak it into existence.
Yeah, she won the award in 1998. Let me go to Dr. Watkins. Same question, Doc. You won it the year before me in 2008, and what'd you feel in that moment?
Yeah, I got to tell you all, the Milken surprise surpasses every other award that I have ever received, and there are lists of them.
Mm-hmm.
I thought when I received the phone call that it was one of my teachers. I had an amazing school. I started my school from scratch, so that meant I had the opportunity to hire everyone, and I hired the best for the best. So I actually thought it was one of my teachers. And we planned a great party. That's what Lowell says. You planned a great party for yourself, because we celebrate everyone. If someone wins an award, everyone gets celebrated.
Yeah.
And so we had a nice, program and all of that. And they were sitting there. I was sitting there with Arnie Duncan, who later became the Secretary of Education, and other people. Rosie Greer was there.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, oh my goodness, someone from my childhood. I mean, it was a big deal. My students were performing. I too sing America.
Oh, wow.
They're going to send me to the kitchen when company comes, but I'm going to laugh. I'm like, well, I'm telling you, like, I planned that thing. It was great. And I watched as they put the numbers up, and I'm like, oh, not 2,500, 25,000. I'm like, oh yeah. And I made eye contact with the one teacher, quite honestly, that I thought it was going to be. And I looked at her and I'm like, ready. And then he said my name. And I remember, well, my mother was there. My sister was there. Friends were there. Colleagues were there, because it was a big deal. The Jesse Ruiz was our superintendent. So it was a big deal. People were coming. So they were there in the audience, but I had no idea, again, that it was for me.
Yeah.
So they call my name and I'm applauding and I go, oh, whoa, that's me. Yeah. I could not believe it. I did, what people do. You cover your face. And so, Kafele, you have your picture there. I made a note. Let me add that to my wall down here.
Yeah.
Because it was such a moment and it looked almost like his. I just covered my face. I couldn't believe it. And I'm crying. And I say, I thought you were going to call someone else. And there it happened. Students went berserk.
Yeah.
They were applauding and cheering for me. And I'm like, oh my goodness. I think they thought they were going to get $1 or $2.
Mine got a lot of it because I took my junior class to Six Flags, and I paid for all of them. And we had just finished standardized assessments. That's what, because in Jersey that was the testing grade for high school. And I took my staff out. And then some scholarships. I didn't really keep much of that money.
Yeah, let me tell you. I sent my students to archaeological camp in Colorado, in
in Cortez, Colorado, to Crow Canyon. I had gone like a couple of years before, and for one of my students, it was their first time on an airplane. I paid for 3 students and a parent to go as a chaperone. Yeah, I didn't keep it. I made dreams come true. That's what I wanted to do. Yeah.
The good stuff. Let's go to the veteran. 2001. That's a long time before mine. Dr. Principal Harris, that moment, if you recall, what was it? What did you feel?
I was a 7th grade math teacher at South Wayne Junior High. And the day they came, of course, I had no idea what the Milken was, but I just remember that being a very particularly hard year for me. I lost my mom on Memorial Day of 2001. 9/11 had happened, right? September 11th had happened in September. And then I remember my husband and I eating at Pizza Hut one night. I said, baby, I don't know if education is for me. I don't know if I'm going to stick this out, because I just don't feel like I'm making a difference. I was almost in a depression, right? That was a Saturday. The Milken came on Tuesday.
Wow.
Tuesday, that very next week, when I was ready to call it quits in education, here comes this big thing at my school. And I'm like, yeah, okay, I'm here. I'm listening with the kids, the entire school, and, all the DS and everybody important was there. And when they called my name, I fell into a puddle of tears. Like you said, I didn't think it was me. I hadn't applied for anything. My mindset was not there. I was thinking how I was going to get out, what I was going to do next. But when they called my name, it was a wake up call for sure. I cried next to Dr. Shania Suggs. She is our human resources director, and she just looked at me and said, surprise. And I melted in her arms. I went up to the podium and I called the names of every other teacher that I was thinking of. I said, this should be Fred Kinser. This should be Lisa Steele. This should be, and I just went down the list of teachers who I felt were more worthy than I was. And it was a surreal moment. Now, I wasn't as nice as you all in spending my money on the children. I got $25,000 to build a music studio in my basement of my home, my husband. And but we were able to make some great music after that. But it was just an emotional time in 2001. I don't know if you guys remember what things felt like.
That's right. Yeah. And I'm right here in Jersey, so
yeah. So it was bittersweet, but more sweet.
we see the towers from Jersey City, So I'm right here. So before I go to the next one, from listening to the three of you and thinking of my own, I'm sure there could be people on here that don't even know what we're talking about. So let me play my short clip. I played it last week and I thought I wasn't going to do it anymore, but now I feel compelled. For those of you that don't know what this Milken Award is, let me just play this short clip. We don't know what it is when it's coming. It's something that just kind of happens. You just roll with it. So take a look at this real quick.
There are lots of jobs that people used to do that are now done through technology. And so as the demands of the workforce change, we need to make sure that the education that all of you receive prepare you to be successful in that 21st century workforce.
When I was in public school, and it was a few years ago, I was very fortunate to have many outstanding teachers. They prepared me well to take advantage of life's opportunities. Now, in our nation today, we do so many things well, but one thing we don't do well enough, and that is support our talented teachers. We need to find new and creative ways to offer more powerful career opportunities for educators. We need to make the pay equal to the importance of the job. And we also need to do another thing, and that is we need to celebrate and recognize the good work that our talented teachers do. It gives me great pleasure to present the Milken National Educator Award to a truly exemplary educator, Baruti Kafele.
Principal Kafele cares about these young people, and I see all the hard work that he puts in and how he inspires the educators to do their job.
We have champions all over this city, from the North Ward to the South, East to West, and in the Central. And today we celebrate one of the heroes of our hometown. I give him my thanks. I give him my gratitude. I give him my love. One more thank you to our great principal.
I'm proud to be the principal of this school. It is a blessing to be principal. I'm blessed to receive this award. And again, Mr. Milken, I thank you from the bottom of my heart.
So that's the Milken Award, y'all. That was mine in 2009. So those of you who want to learn more about it, you can go to the Milken website. It's just Google it. You can't apply for it, though. Let me tell you that. You can't apply. These folks just find you some kind of way. I don't know how they found me to this day. They find you some kind of way.
They do.
And you get blessed by it. So we all got our pins on. That's mine, the power of the pin, right? All 3,000 Milken recipients have this pin. And as you see, the obelisk that Principal Harris has, mine is up on the next shelf.
That's right. It's behind me.
I'm going to get it.
But I keep mine in my office as a reminder.
Yeah.
Always.
There it is. The obelisk.
Somebody screenshot that. Let me get that screenshot.
Yes.
All right. Let me get back to where we were. All right. So let's go, y'all. Let's go. Dr. Alexander, in 2018, you left your home state of Alabama and moved to Tennessee to pioneer a K-5 STEM lab at Woodmore Elementary. STEM lab invited students to engage in hands-on and minds-on learning through inquiry-based learning. Talk to us, give us a short version, but talk to us about this STEM lab. But what really caught my attention in that particular portion of your bio was this thing called Minds On. And I want you to give particular focus to what does that mean when you say the Minds On aspect of the learning?
So I'm gonna go with the STEM lab first. So, talking about that. So we talk about STEM as science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. And so at the time, my then principal really wanted an opportunity for kids to learn STEM with a tangible component to it. I think we get into the elementary classroom, oftentimes science is not taught. And so we need to make sure and find those opportunities that kids have the hands-on, minds-on learning. So when I talk about that minds-on, so if I want to talk to a kid about the equator, or let me think, if I talk about weather, we have that all the time. So I want to make sure it's a component, or I'm able to teach the kids something about weather where it connects to them, where they understand why we have rain. Chattanooga, right now, we are in snow with about 8 inches of snow. And some of our kids have never experienced that. So right now we're a little snowed in. That's why I'm not in my office. But I think it's important for kids to understand different components of science. And so when you walk into, or you're engaged into my classroom, it's not just, we're just going to talk about this is how weather happens. No, we're going to do some investigations. We're going to do some experiments where you actually get to have that opportunity, where you see what we talk about in a book, where it becomes real in the classroom. So when I talk about earthquakes, we're creating a simulation of earthquakes so students understand really what that is. It's not just textbook information. Our minds are learning. We're using that iterative process and using those 4 C's of collaboration, critical thinking, so that kids can dive a little bit deeper and really have that content knowledge, that understanding of whatever that science or that STEM component is.
I love it. I love it. So we going deeper than just that surface knowledge, that
Oh,
text
yeah.
understanding is hands-on and thereby minds on. Good stuff. I'm gonna stay with you for a follow-up. So, I say to all my guests, this is a staple question. We all have our fullness, our wholeness, but there's this fraction of us called the educator, right? As an educator, who is Dr. Amara Alexander?
I saw you, I watch, I know you ask that question often. So I've kind of been in thought, like, who is Amara at the core? Who is Amara as an educator? For me, I'm a champion. I think Rita Pearson said it really well a long time ago. We got to be a champion for kids. I'm a champion for kids. I'm a champion for all kids. But I have the opportunity right now to work in the urban core when I'm working with predominantly African-American and Hispanic students. So students of color. I'm a champion for that. I want the students that do not always have that opportunity and access to be able to receive those things. And so not only am I a champion, I'm an advocate for STEM education. That's something I believe all kids should have. So when you have the opportunity to come to the school, we have what we call an e-lab, and that e-lab, it has digital fabrication, has an opportunity for kids to have those 3D models and learn how to operate those equipments. So that to me is the core at me. I'm a champion for kids. I want to support students of color, really truly genuine and an advocate in making sure that all kids have the opportunities that they need in order to thrive. That's what education is about. We are setting kids up for success. So if I can do that in a small way, that they're in my building from 6th grade to 8th grade, then I've done what I've been called to do, and that's into pouring kids so that they then thus can go off and have more opportunities as they continue their education.
Let me ask you this real quick before I go to Principal Harris. You started as a language arts teacher. Was that passion there at the time for science, or did that happen subsequent to your moving over to science?
I think it was just subsequent. I think when I was teaching elementary education, that ELA, I liked it. Began reading books, honestly, because I was the ELA teacher and fell in love with YA and had to do that. And so then when I got put to science, there was no professional development for me. They gave me a book and say, hey, go teach.
Wow.
I didn't know what I was doing. And so I think for me, I wanted to be really good at it. In the Huntsville area, if you're familiar, we have NASA, we have Missile Defense, and the kids that I were teaching, their parents were involved in those programs. I could not teach science and then have a kid check me in class. I didn't really want that. And so I said, I've got to become proficient in science. I've got to learn some things. So as I began to dive into the curriculum, 6th grade in Alabama at the time was Earth and Space Science, fell in love with it, had an opportunity to go to space camp and the other things that I've done. And so for me, I think my passion really came from the opportunity to be able to teach science, and for me to find other things that would make me a better teacher, so that I could teach kids what they needed to know. And it was fun. Like, it was a lot of fun. And it was something, like I said, I learned. It just became a passion out of being able to ask the content that I think people just kind of say, hey, you go teach this.
Yeah, that's I find that amazing. And because here you are, you're teaching language arts, so science is not necessarily on your radar. And then they assign you to science, and you become, quote unquote, a beast at science. You went far and beyond what they expected of you as far as the knowledge that you brought into the classroom for kids. So, kudos to you on that. Good stuff. Good stuff. Let me go to Principal Harris. And I need to switch pages here. Yeah. So Principal Harris, in each of your administrative roles, right? You've been AP, you've been principal, you've been back and forth with districts and so forth. You honed your expertise, uniting teams, advancing instruction, instructional practices, and removing barriers to educational excellence. What stood out for me, just based on who I am, is that part about removing barriers, right? Give us a picture. When you say removing barriers, what are you saying to us?
So I like to call myself a champion for the adults. One of the things that teachers tend to say to me so often is that I could never do what you do. I'd never want to be a principal, right? And then I say to them, how? Why not? Why not? Walk in your excellence. It'll come to you if that is, your calling. But I like to build capacity, leadership capacity in adults. I like to let them know where their strengths are and how they can impact students in a broader sense, just like Dr. Alexander said, not just in your classroom, but how can you grow your impact on students and on excellence. So I work with student teachers. I try to build them and create in them the confidence that they need to, take their next steps in their journey. It's a teacher shortage out there. I mean, how are we going to keep our teacher pipeline going if we don't advocate for our young learners, our new strength that's going to come in and take over as we're advancing toward the end of our career here? I want to make sure that our kids are going to remain in good hands. And so I meet with my student teachers often. I give them words of wisdom and try to help them look around some corners so that they are solid in their footing as they move forward in education. I like to work with my teacher leaders. Hey, let's get you to this professional development. Let's get you in at this table so that your voice can be heard. I try to give them district and statewide opportunities that they wouldn't necessarily seek for themselves. So I try to work overtime for teachers. And I really think that came from the Milken, right? The fact that the Milken saw something in me that I didn't see in myself. So many doors were open after 2001. After I didn't want to do education anymore, I said, hold up. There's like you said, Dr. Principal Kafeli, someone could be shifted by a word of wisdom that I might be able to drop on them. So I've been able to cultivate that literally since 2001. And it's been a blessing watching those who I've been able to mentor. And there are some right here on our chat right now. I've been able to mentor them. They are now strong principals in their own regard. And it does my heart good. I try to break down those barriers of their fears, not seeing themselves as worthy when I know they are, and being able to walk hand in hand with them on their journey. So that's just in a nutshell what I like to do.
I love it. And you had that line, that last line in your bio where it states, and I quote, she's a shining example of leadership, compassion, and the transformative power of education. When I read it, I read it a few times, that line, and I started thinking about the fam that's on here, particularly the regulars that come on every week.
Mm-hmm.
And I just want to say that again before I go to you, to the fam out here now. She is a shining example of leadership. I think the key word here is example. So a shining example of leadership, compassion, and the transformative power of education. Before I go to you, Principal Harris, let me just talk to the fam out there. Fam, I got my mirror. I didn't clean it off, so might be smudged a little. But I want you to just think about you for a second. Are you that shining example, right, of leadership? Are you that shining example of compassion? Are you that shining example of the transformative power of education? Who are you? And I'm not necessarily asking you who are you in your eyes.
Right.
I'm asking you to put yourselves into the eyes of your staff and students, and what might their perception be of you? Do they see you the way you see yourself? In other sessions we've distinguished brand identity from brand image. I'm not going to do that now, but it's the same thing, right? How are they seeing you? So with that, Principal Harris, what are you saying when you say that? Like, what does that mean when you say you are a shining example of leadership, compassion, and the transformative power of education?
I bring them in on conversations. I bring them in on ways that they can see themselves advancing in education. We meet all the time. I have articles, and we just kind of tussle over current events and articles, and I try to get them to think in terms of who they want to be in leadership. I've even gone as far as help them buy the right suit for their interview. I give all of my lady mentees a string of pearls, because you need to step in there with that confidence and that look, and you need to be polished, right? I want to make sure that they understand the rigors of being an administrator, but help break down, like I said, some of their fears. They're really afraid to maybe take their next steps or don't know how to. And so I don't mind having those courageous conversations with them. I don't mind sharing all that I am and all that I have, so that they can be better than I ever was. I don't know. I just try to get them at tables that they might not otherwise be invited to without some support. And then I maintain that support. So like I see Principal Carl Blythe here in the chat. He is an amazing principal, and I like to continue to foster that relationship with him over these years. I see Erica Blakey online here. She's now an assistant principal here in Indianapolis. And if we can talk back and forth and help each other work through some things that are maybe some stressors or difficult topics throughout our work as educators, that only serves to help us grow stronger. I've got a nice, wonderful support system of Black Girl Magic here in Wayne Township, and we meet and we text and we pray for each other and we support each other in ways that we need, right? This is a lonely job as a principal and administrator, and as long as we can be those beacons of light for each other, we're going to be okay. I've got a strong Black Girl Magic connection in Lawrence Township and Washington Township. So as you go around and do the things that you do to serve others in different capacities, you build a strong network, right? Yeah. And so we use that network in a very purposeful way to keep uplifting each other and making us stronger.
I love it. You know, sometimes, when I talked about the length of this program, sometimes we go long because of me, because I'll hear something and then I want to go in a different direction from my notes, but yet still get back to my notes. So I'm not going to do this, but I'm just going to say what it is that you said that got me going here. You said it's a lonely position. Now, in real time right now, I want to dive in on that. But I got these notes, right? Somehow, some way, maybe we can. But I don't care how many good people I had around me. At the end of the day, I still felt like, but the buck stops with me.
That's
right. Right. Despite the fact I'm delegating this and that, I still felt isolated. I still felt alone. I had people that had my back. I had prayer warriors. I got everything. But at the end of the day, my name is the one that's
right,
invisibly written on the facade of the building outside. Right.
Yep.
Right. And then the other thing you said, I ain't gonna go into it. Y'all probably each want to chime in on it. I know it. But the other thing is when you talked about attire for the interview. The world has shifted.
It has.
And folks are coming in not looking the way that old me.
Not on my watch.
Old me, because I haven't interviewed anyone since 2011. Right. So the way I see people now is like, wait a minute. We gotta go back old school.
That's right.
Right. I know it's fashionable to wear your suit with a pair of Air Force Ones, but not for your interview with me.
That's right.
But that's maybe we gotta come back and have those conversations. I'm gonna stay focused. I'm gonna stay focused, or else we'd be on here for 3 hours. Hey, Dr. Watkins, let me go back to you. You conduct workshops on emotional intelligence.
Yes.
And I gathered a lot of that was towards the teacher and other staff members. But I want to ask you this question. What is the significance of emotional intelligence for school leaders?
Yeah. So I think emotional intelligence is something that everyone needs to lean into and connect with. And so if you are not an emotionally intelligent leader, you then do not have any kind of pulse on your staff, on your students, on your parents, or your community. And so emotional intelligence is really what you see in other people, how you connect with them, how you respond to the emotions of other people, how you respond appropriately and effectively. And so without it, you're not successful. Now, I can direct you to, the gurus of emotional intelligence, but I can also tell you to go back to September of 2023 and look at the article that was in Ed Leadership that I penned, all about this topic, and just say dig into it. But it is about who you are, knowing who you are, accepting who you are, and how you respond to the emotions of others and yourself. So if you get out of pocket during an emergency, people are going to follow right behind you. They're going to follow suit. And so you've got to know how to handle your emotions and how to handle the emotions of other people.
I love it. I want to go back to it's what'd you say, September 2023?
Yep.
All right, so educational leadership, Ed Leadership. Just Google that and put on Dr. Watkins' name, Dr. Cheryl Watkins, D. Watkins, and it should come up.
That's right.
Yeah, it should come up. And if you're not a member of ASCD and it's locked, because some of those articles are locked, I don't know if yours is, but then become a member.
It's not locked.
Yeah, that's good. That's good.
I can send you the link as well.
Yeah, good stuff.
Or you can go to my website, CherylDWatkins.com, and you can find a plethora of things. And I think you can get a link to my link tree, which would then give you more information than you ever expected to know.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Yeah. CherylDWatkins.com, right?
Yep.
All right. Go to the website, y'all. Take a visit. Dr. Watkins, you served in many positions in education: special ed teacher, assistant principal, principal, deputy, chief of schools, education consultant, adjunct professor, author, just to name a few. Yeah. With all you've done and accomplished in education, I'm just curious, what's that one out of all of those that you said, that's the one that defined me?
All right, that's a great question. I wasn't expecting that twist.
Yeah, I gave it
the one that defined me. I was ready for who am I?
You can throw that in there too then.
I was ready for that. But
yeah, throw that in there, your answer.
Excuse me. And I think I'm going to go to assistant principal.
Wow.
And I'm going to go to assistant principal because, first of all, in Chicago, and I don't know, how everything is laid out in other districts, but I think it's the best position in the system. The assistant principal gets to support everything and everybody in that building. You support students, you support teachers, you support the principal, you support parents. People come to you, and that helps you to fine tune and to really sharpen your own saw about who you are. Mm-hmm. And I'm not saying that as principal, you don't get to do that, but there's a different layer of it. And so that's what I saw my role. Listen, as assistant principal, at lunchtime, I would bring a stack of books with me, and I would sit at a table, and I would wait for the students to come in, and they would race over to the table wherever I was sitting, and I moved it around, and then I would open up a book and I'd start reading. And these kids would be eating their lunch and looking up at me as if I was spewing gold. I mean, they loved it. I'm like, oh my goodness. As principal, I didn't get an opportunity to do that. But as assistant principal, I did. I think that shaped me. It helped me to connect better with kids. And it really kept me humble, because I also think that sometimes we get a little confused about who we are in education because we have a title. The title means nothing. Right. So I whatever you do is up to you. Like the kids say, if you like it, I love it. You go right ahead, but don't let that title go to your head.
Yeah.
Stay humble. Identify why you are there and what the meaning of your role is in that moment. That's critically important. Critically important.
I want to I'm gonna throw this out for all three of us. Anybody jump in here? You said this is why these sessions get long, because I am gonna go in on one thing you said. You indicated the assistant principalship would be the one that defines you over all those positions you had, and you had quite a few. And but I want to ask you this about the assistant principalship. Anybody that knows my work, the regulars on here, they know that I define the assistant principalship as the most misunderstood and underutilized position in all of education. I wrote this book in large part because of the volume of assistant principals, but also principals, right, who are not instructional leaders, because those folks who are doing other things, probably good at other things, but that teacher does not benefit from your leadership instructionally, right, as that coach. So my question, and you all feel free, whoever wants to jump in here, don't feel pressured. How do we ensure that an assistant principal who has 10, 15, 20, whatever the number, teachers that reports to that person. Yes, there's an instructional coach in the building, or yes, there are instructional coaches in the building, but this assistant principal still is the evaluator of this number, whatever that number of teachers are. How do we get that person to think instructionally, to be instructional, particularly when I've got a principal that's not encouraging me to be that person? What are your thoughts?
Can I go back to what Principal Harris said? And so she specifically said she identified opportunities for people so that they could advance. That is the critical piece, right? As a principal, it was my goal to make sure that the people who were supporting me, my assistant principal, also my teachers, and my staff. So that included the lunchroom staff, that included the custodians, that included my teacher assistants, all of those individuals, right? It became enormously critical for me to pour into them as well. Now, that's from the principal's perspective. From the assistant principal's perspective, if you have a principal who is not providing nor identifying those opportunities for you, then you better find them yourself. You better be resilient, you better be creative, you better be courageous, and you identify your own next edge of growth. You've got to be able to do that. So I think, I don't know if it was Harriet Tubman or Sojourner Truth that said, if women want any rights, it seems to me that they'd be out there getting them. You want some rights, you better go out there and get them. If you want to advance, if you want to increase your professional capacity, you don't wait for someone to say, hey, let me tap you. You say, I'm tapping in. And you go on and you get what you need.
Good stuff. Anybody else want to weigh in? Don't feel compelled. That was just off the cuff. All right, let's go. I want to bring up your talking points. So give me a second here, and I'm just going to go in the order that I wrote them. I put them on the screen, and then we'll talk about. I want you all to feel free to jump in on each other's talking points if you feel that you want to. So let me read this. Dr. Alexander, you said whole teacher, well teacher. Again, whole teacher, well teacher. Creating spaces for teachers to decompress at work and take moments for themselves. Elaborate on that for us. What are you saying?
I think that's important now, Principal Caffelli. I have a very young staff. And so when I think about COVID, we talk about students that were impacted. We now have teachers, young teachers that are entering the classroom that have been impacted. And we talk about that emotional intelligence. And so when I have a urban school, there's a lot of things that are taking place, a lot of things that are shifting. We've never been in an urban environment before. That's a lot. It creates sometimes just stress because the kid came in the building upset, mad. You're trying to have a conversation. The kid then cusses you out. And if you didn't grow up in a household of being cussed out, that's a lot. But then I want you to go back and teach the kid in 5 minutes you know, in the class. And so I think it's really important. We have what we call a Zen room at our school. And so that room is a safe space to come in. There's a couch, there's, you know, soft music playing. There's an opportunity for you to have some snacks, make coffee. We create that space, but also just letting teachers know if you need a moment, I'm the person I want you to advocate and say, you know what, I need a moment. I don't think teachers can go into the classroom and instruct students when there's a lot going on in their head space. I'm an advocate for therapy. I don't know if we talk about it a lot in the community, in the teacher space, in the Black community. I want you, if that's something that you need, I want you to feel okay to say, you know what, Alexander, I need to get the resources I need to be able to talk it out so that I'm not feeling this anxious when I'm coming to work, or there's something that's happening. I don't know how to decompress from it. If teachers can't decompress from it, how do we want them to teach them? Talking about, you know, what is my role instructionally? My role instructionally is to support the teacher. So if you're having a moment in your mind where you feel like you don't have the capacity to do something, we have supports at our school, and we put things in place that if you need that moment, you can advocate and say, hey, I need a moment. Let me get a reset. No problem. You're good. Let's go back. Because we have to be well for kids in order for us to really provide them that instruction that they need.
Yeah, you know, I love it, and I want to share this with you. That word decompress was not a part of my lexicon during my administrative years from 98 to 2011. Right? It's just I knew what the word meant, but it wasn't a word that I would bring to the front of my mind to use. Once I got out here in the field as a full-time speaker, a colleague of mine confronted me at a conference, and he said, Kafele, you speak every day. I don't know how you do that, because I need a day in between to decompress. That was the first time in my life that I had a conversation with someone who used that word, right? So then it forced me to go into deep self-reflection. And I said, wow, okay, so I was actually doing that probably every day of my principalship, because there was, like, we got work after school. We got a million different things that we got to get done before we leave, right? But within that, I would sit at my desk, sit in my chair like this. Maybe my eyes would be closed, maybe they weren't. And I'm just sitting there doing nothing. I'm decompressing, but I'm not calling it that. I'm saying I'm taking it down. That was my language. But I'm sharing that with you. I'm sharing it with the fam as well, to ask you this. What are your thoughts about the need for and the significance of the decompression aspect of leadership? Like, is it necessary? Should it be happening? When should it be happening? What happens if it doesn't happen? Right? Talk to me.
I think the decompress is the essential part of the job. There's so many things that are coming at you or at that particular leader. And I think you're not going to be able to survive the seat if you don't have an opportunity for self. And whatever your decompression is, whether it is your faith and you having a moment of prayer. I like to sing, so I'm going to choir rehearsal and we're going to sing it out. I enjoy doing Legos. I enjoy traveling. So if you're not finding that moment for yourself, you're going to lose self.
That's right.
And then it's going to get to a point in your mind where you're unable to control things. And we don't want anybody to get to the point where we're going off, as we say, the deep end. We don't want that for anybody, any human being, nobody, particularly in our buildings. So if we don't find those moments of decompression and self-care, as we may call it, maybe it's you getting your nails done, maybe it's going on a weekend out with your girls. I don't know, whatever you need to do to find this moment for yourself. It is so key that you have that as a leader, because I don't want anybody watching to lose themselves.
Yeah.
We are humans. And we all need moments of self-care, of decompression. You've got to take it, because we want you to be here in the seat. Because we all know if you find yourself in a position where you can't, they're going to find somebody else. The job is going to be filled.
Oh, yes.
So in order for you to continue to work into your gift that you have, you got to find a moment for yourself.
I love it. You know, again, this is why these sessions get long. I can't leave this right now because I know that there are people out here on this thread or people who will watch this video later on, which is typically the bulk of the people who see it, the people who watch it in video form. There are people who are dealing with their own challenges. And I'm just going to put myself out here being vulnerable, although I have done sermons on this platform, but I'm not going to get into the sermon. I'm just going to say, I know I've lost myself in my principal role. I know I questioned myself in my principal role. I know I doubted myself in my principal role. It's easy to walk into the building with an ego like, all right, I got this. But then you go through a day and now you sitting in that chair, as I said, quiet. Like, do I matter? And like, can somebody else come in here and do this more effectively than I can? You know, somebody could be a situation that I'm dealing with. It could be some person, a parent, a supervisor, or an activist in the community, you know, whatever it is. But at some point, I got to come back to who I was when I walked into that building.
That's right. That's
right. To you, Dr. Alexander, or anybody that wants to chime in, I don't want to lead us right now, not this second. Talk to us about, and you've done this, but I just want to put it in the context of this question. How do I, like if I'm losing myself, how do I go about relocating myself?
Yeah. So listen, I actually spoke on this and do speak on this, and it's called pouring from a full cup. And so one of the things that I talk about when I do that that session is you've got to pour back into you before you can pour out for someone else. I also use the song by Alicia Keys, "Good Job." I don't know if you all know it, but it's "Good Job." And what Alicia Keys says is 6 a.m, before you walk through the door, everyone needs you. The world's not as sound when you're not around. And then she continues to say on loop, and I'm like, get this in your head, you matter, you matter, you matter. But the fact of the matter is, if you are not okay, no one else will be okay, because they're pulling on you and they're tugging on you. And so you've got to be all right. And one of the ways to do that, and I'm just going to give you one of them, is to make the choice to prioritize yourself. So everybody else is going to take care of them. Some of your teachers pick up their purses, pick up their backpacks, and they run out the door when the bell rings. They take care of themselves. You're not better than them. Take care of yourself. Prioritize self. And then, so that's just one of them. And then if I go all the way to the end of the suggestions that I typically give, it centers around celebrations, celebrating what needs to be celebrated. And that means I better come up with a song, a mantra, something that I need that gets me through to the next moment, to the next day. I'd better come up with it. And for me, it is music. Music definitely is a mood changer. I talk about this often. And so I've got my go-tos. I tell people, and I just preached on Wednesday and told the audience, don't you dare try to judge me. I love music. I love gospel. I love R&B. I love all of that. I'm really at my core a 70s rock chick, but I love hip hop. I'm not talking about the stuff that assaults your ears, but I'm talking about I start to write and then I sink into the paper like I was ink. When I'm writing, I'm trapped in between the lines. I escape when I finish the rhyme. I'm talking about that kind of lyric charged up that makes you, that's how I pour back into myself. So don't look at me funny. If I'm driving and you happen to roll up on the side of me and I'm rapping some Eminem, you better lose yourself in the music. The moment you own it, you never let it go. Don't judge me, but I'm gonna have to get mine in because I have depleted the reserve, and I've got to put some more back into the reserves.
Yeah. I'm going to add on when you talk about being depleted. I think as a leader, we always think we're on the go and everybody has to have access to us. It's okay to put it on do not disturb. It's okay to put, just to give yourself, and I'm not saying all day, whatever that is, because sometimes you just need that moment. And maybe while you're decompressing, someone is calling you and it interrupts your decompression time. So if it's going to be from 12 to 12:10, just put it on silent. Because I think we are just so attached to that email on the phone, those text messages. It's okay to find that moment for yourself within the day to say, you know what, I need a timeout. Let me recharge in the moment so that I can go back and face what's happening out there in the classroom.
Can I just, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry. Can I just say one more thing? And here's where I am on this. I am a baby boomer. And so we were taught to work and work and work and work and work. And that's what we were, that's it. That's all we knew. That's what your parents told you. Work, get your pension, and then go on and be done with it, right? But what we learned best from millennials is not me. And so they walk away and you're like, wait, where you going? We having a conversation. It's 4:01. Your time for conversation is over, Dr. Watkins. I'm like, excuse me. No, ma'am, excuse me.
Yeah.
Right? Like millennials know how to turn it off and how to walk on away. And I think that's good. I think that's the best thing we could learn. My niece said to us on New Year's Day, oh, you get that from me. That was a gift that millennials gave to you all. You're welcome.
You're welcome.
Girl, she's absolutely correct, right? So we've got to adopt some of their policy. We've got to turn it. We've got to turn it off. And I'm guilty. I'm guilty of it.
Yeah.
I'm sick. I've been sick for a minute. I'm guilty of it. I don't know how to shut it down a lot, but I was at Gregory Porter. I shut it down. I was sick as a dog, but I was at Gregory Porter. I'm like, come on, Sally, talk to me, right? Like you've got to do that. You've got to be intentional about it. If you're not intentional about your own self-care, about your own health, then no one else is going to be intentional. And I'm so sorry. Come on, Principal.
Right. No. Okay, so if you're a baby boomer, then I'm right after you. I was born in 72, so I'm at the start of Gen X, right? So I've adopted some of your same work ethics and principles, and it's been a learning curve to try to pause and check for self. I want to call the names of some of my amazing superintendents and district office personnel who have helped me just check in with them, right? They check in with me in a very purposeful way throughout the year. I want to say Dr. Sean Smith, Dr. Jeff Butts, Carla Johnson, Dr. Heather Pierce. They give me an opportunity to call them and say, hey, I need a cool burner, or I need you to help me refocus because I think I'm off my square right now. And so I'm just grateful for the leadership that I've been able to have over the years to push pause a little bit, reset, and then I come back stronger for my students in my school community. So yeah, I'm with you. I just tend to work with my head down, and I'm grinding. And sometimes I can miss some things that are very important. So yeah, mentorship is important.
Yeah. Good stuff. Hey, let me keep moving because we could keep going on this topic. Dr. Watkins, you said knowing your why, specifically why you started as a means to avoid compassion, fatigue, or burnout.
Yes.
What are you saying to us here?
Listen, you've got to remember why you started. I was with a group of principals from across the state of Illinois yesterday, and I intentionally asked them to remember why they started. Right now, testing is coming up. Honestly, kids are like, look, I'm about to graduate. I ain't got time for this. Things are going crazy. You've got to remember why you started so that you can stay in the game, so that you yourself don't get knocked off your square. And so it really does cause you to do some introspection, to go back to the beginning. In my bio, what Principal Kafele read was, I started teaching when I was a little girl on the back porch of our building as a kid. I loved teaching. Let me go on back to that. Let me remember that. Let me remember what that looked like, what it sounded like, what it smelled like. And so it smelled like the papers that you would get off the mimeograph machine, the purple ones, the light colored ones that you would put to your nose to smell because they had such a different kind of a smell. And I think we were low-key getting high back then as kids. Right? Like that's the smell of teaching for me. And
now,
so,
you know, Amara doesn't know what you're talking about.
Yes.
because you all grew up with a copy machine. Well, I ain't grew up with no copy machine.
I would say I remember the projector. I don't remember that.
That's different. Yeah, that's different. We're gonna have a conversation. Yeah, we're gonna have a conversation. That's different. See, y'all so educationally bougie. That's what y'all ain't had no rough time where you could barely look at it, and if you wanted a copy, you had to insert that copy paper in between 2 sheets of regular paper so that you could write and have something memorialized. Y'all so bougie.
We don't have that. You know, things evolved.
But when you go back and you remember why you started, that's what keeps you going. And so for me specifically, I created my own mantra. And so this thing didn't happen overnight. I had to think about it again through some introspection. And so my mantra is what propels me every day, even in fake retirement. My family tells me I'm fake retired. I'm not really retired, y'all. Shh, don't tell nobody. But I commit to stand up, speak up, and show up for the oppressed.
Hey.
That's why I do this work.
Yes.
To stand up, speak up, and show up for the oppressed. And then someone in one of my sessions said, well, Dr. Watkins, who are the oppressed? And I said, wow, I'm so glad you asked me. Let me tell you, the oppressed are people who look like me, whose skin has been kissed by nature's sun. Those people who are short, don't play with me. Short people gotta fight for some rights, y'all. I wish they would lower the doggone shelves in the grocery store so that I don't have to scale it like I'm Spider-Woman and get what I want off the top.
I love it.
Oppressed are women who have had to fight to be at the tables that have been crafted and created just for men. The oppressed are people who talk differently, who walk differently, who learn differently. Those kids and those adults who are in that category of special education. So the oppressed list includes all of those with some isms behind it. Do you understand?
Yeah.
Because I know that this is my mantra. This is why I do what I do. I don't get tired. The song says, I've been running for Jesus a long time. I'm not tired yet. I don't get tired because that's what I've been created to do. So when you know your why, it makes your what a little bit easier, and it definitely shows up in your how. So if you don't know your why, you come to school, you come to work, you show up, and you're mad about it because you got to come in. People say good morning and you go, what's good about it? Or you mumble something back. That tells me immediately that your why is jacked up. You've lost your why. If you can't be happy coming into your job, something's wrong. Your why is off. So that's where that burnout comes in, that compassion fatigue. And the two are really different, nuanced different, but they are different. But that's how you know. But when I come in and I'm good morning, and I go on to get my special quiet time, which is what I would do. That it was in the beginning of the day, because if I didn't start off with some quiet, then I certainly wasn't going to get it throughout the day. And I didn't have the capacity to wait until the end. I got to start off now and pour into myself because I'm going to get snatched from, pulled from. Yeah. You've got to start off knowing your why. And you've got to start off being happy about where you are as you deliver what you're delivering. Yeah.
Powerful stuff. Let me give you this follow-up, Dr. Watkins. I'm a veteran principal.
Yes.
And I'm overwhelmed. I came in, I'm speaking for somebody. I came into this leadership profession, and I was fired up. I was on a mission. I had a vision. I was rooted in my purpose, my why, my because, my reason. But over time, I lost my why. I misplaced my why. I forgot my why. I am detached from my why. I don't even recall what my why was anymore. This is just, I'm doing this until retirement. You and I know, the three of us, the four of us, this person exists.
Absolutely.
But this person saw it not robbery. This is just me hoping that this is true. That this person saw it not robbery. I'm going to be a part of this AP and New Principals Academy, and I'm hoping to get some wisdom from it. Anybody could jump in, but my question is to you first, Dr. Watkins. It's one thing to say that we need to find our why, but help me now to find it. What are your words?
So I'm going to say a couple of things. And so, look, somebody's going to be fired up by this and somebody's going to look at me sideways. Don't come for me because I clap back. The first thing is, if it has gotten that bad, I'm
Shut
serious.
down.
What's up? I'm from Chicago. I'm on the raised no punk. I didn't have any brothers. My daddy kind of poured into us a little bit differently. You better be able to stand up. Again, I stand up, I speak up, I show up for the oppressed. So the first thing I'm going to say is you have to retreat so that you can refuel.
That's right.
I again, like I said, somebody's going to be mad at me. And that retreat looks like, let me back up off this for a minute. Because I'm not giving my best. As a matter of fact, what I'm doing is I am raping and pillaging the school system, and I'm doing it on the backs of children. So I've got to retreat. I've got to step back from this thing. And that retreat is, I got to retreat to save my soul. Now, I'm not telling you to walk away from your good government job and walk away from your pension. But what I am telling you is to use those days that you have accumulated that you won't use because you keep showing up and going into the office. I'm telling you to put in for a break, put in for a leave so that you can take that retreat and do nothing. Do nothing. Watch the paint dry. Be still like vegetables. Lay like broccoli. Do nothing. The first thing. And then you're going to refuel. And that refueling is, let me go ahead and listen to the music I want to listen to without judgment. Let me go ahead and eat an ice cream cone before I get on that doggone treadmill. I want you to pour back into yourself. I want you to retreat and I want you to refuel. But you've got to do it unless you want to keep on being sad and sorrowful. That's just a little bit, you all. That's just a little, but I mean it from the bottom of my heart. You're not serving anybody well by coming to work and you're unhappy and you've lost it.
Wow.
That's true.
As Denise said, my God, right? It's good stuff. I'm looking at that clock. Let me keep going. Let me keep going because it's a whole lot of conversation. All of these, it's a whole lot of conversation that could emanate out of those. So let me go to Principal Harris. And you said building capacity in as one of your talking points. Talk to us, and then I got a follow-up for you.
Yeah, we touched on it earlier, and I'm just enjoying listening to my sisters over here dropping these nuggets. Loving that. But yeah, just like you said, making sure that I'm building and presenting the very best of us for our students. All right, our students deserve the best, and so I want to make sure that teachers come in and give their best, and if they can't or don't know how to, that I coach them. Right, it's about recruiting and retaining and building people, and not evaluating them out or treating them any type of way. It's just making sure that they're here to stand tall for the job. And like I said, it starts with student teachers. I even mentor young girls who are in college and who aren't really sure what they want to do as their career. Maybe they will come in and do some volunteer work with students in literacy. But I try to get my hooks into people because the mission and vision here in Wayne Township is about developing great people. Right? It's straightforward. How do you develop great people? You find them, you find those opportunities, and you give it to them. Be very intentional about the positive ways that you want to grow people. So, yeah, that's just what I do as principal, and it started back when I got the Milken in 2001. I realized what it could look like and feel like. Right? I got that feeling. Not a lot of people get that Milken feeling, and so why wouldn't I use my best tools and strategies to try to recreate that feeling for others? Maybe they don't win the Milken, but I oftentimes honor them and recognize them with other education awards and things that they didn't know were coming. We've got a Golden Apple Award here for teachers every month. I make sure that I find those teachers who are doing it right and doing their best and working hard, and then I'll nominate them for it. And then they get the big surprise. It may not be $25,000, but it's something that says in a very public way, I appreciate you, I see you, you are worthy, keep doing what you're doing because we need you in education. Just like yesterday, I nominated my secretary, and I hope she's not watching, for Secretary of the Year award. She's not, you know, so it's just, you know, speaking people's names in rooms that they're not in, and showing up for them, making sure that they know you appreciate them and that they're worthy. That's the best thing a principal can do. I love how you said I think it was Dr. Watkins said you took some books into the cafeteria with you and you read to the books and they were just lapping it up. Well, every year I do what's called a lunch bunch. I take a group of my third grade students who needs to have some literacy skills, you know, boosted in a little bit because we've got I read assessments that they take every March. And I want to make sure that they're going to be, that they have every opportunity for success on those I read assessments. We do lunch bunch. I meet with them during lunch and we work on literacy skills, right? So I'm leading by example. I'm showing my teachers that I too am a teacher just like you. I remember what it's like to be in the classroom and wishing I had some more support to get our kids across that finish line. So I like to lead by example. I like to be very hands-on with students. And then I can now have a stronger position to share with them, okay, this student I notice tends to daydream a lot, right? Teachers see these things too, but when they know that I see it and I can speak about a student's progress by name, that's a powerful tool in building efficacy in our teachers. So that's just another way.
No, that's powerful stuff. I got a follow-up for you, but before I do,
go ahead, sir.
Let me say to the fam, hit the retweet button, hit the share button, hit the repost button, tag somebody. We still here. Tag somebody. Hit them Facebook groups up. I should have done this earlier. Those Facebook leadership groups. Hit them up. Tag them. Share the video over to them. But also hit that like button. I'm gonna say it again. Hit that like button. We live in an algorithm-driven world, and that like button lets folks know that we are here. So numbers are great, but I still want to reach more, right? So tag somebody, do whatever, retweet somebody, share with somebody, but make sure you do that for me. That's how we continue to grow the platform, and at the end of the day, to help children to maximize their potential, because they got leadership in the building based on who comes on this platform to help them to be the best them, right? Be the best versions of themselves. So with that said, going back to you, Principal Harris, building capacity, and let me put it back on the screen for the fam here. That was number 3. There we go. Building capacity in others. So I'm this principal. I'm relatively new now, as opposed to my other example where I was a seasoned veteran. I'm a relatively new principal, and I came in here excited about doing this work. But in my own self-reflection, my own self-assessment, through my decompression, I am coming to the rapid realization that my people's skills are not good. I have work to do. My people skills are good with people I'm familiar with, but now I've got a staff of people that I do not know, and I am struggling with connecting with them and ultimately being able to build that capacity that you speak of. I don't feel, this is someone being honest with themselves, I don't have that skill set right now in real time to build capacity in others, because I've got some work to do on me just in terms of how I relate with and to others on my staff, particularly others that I don't know intimately like I know in my world outside of school. I know I threw a lot at you, but my question is, what would you say to that person if you encountered that new leader?
First year?
Yeah, let's go first year.
Okay.
First or second?
So yeah, and that's hard. This is my 30th year in education, so I try to, let me see if I can try to relate to that first year principal. But I'm hopeful that you principal have some years of experience in education under your belt. So one of the things that I would encourage you to do is like Dr. Watkins says, just take a little bit of a step back. You don't have to come in and change anything right away, right? You need to get to know yourself. You need to get to know your staff. And for me, pictures are my love language, right? Photographs. So I came to the school, Bridgeport, where I am right now, 3 years ago. And knowing what I know, I knew that I could not come in and change anything until I got to know that staff. I didn't have the luxury of Dr. Watkins getting to hire everybody from scratch, right? So you come in and you've got these teachers who have they're set in their ways. You've got new teachers, you've got those in the middle, and you just don't know who they are as a unit. So I said, I'm not going to come here and change a thing. But what I am going to do is show you who I am in education, and we're going to learn and grow together. So I used photographs. I took pictures of everything. I beefed up our social media presence. I made sure to recognize teachers and honor students and recognize parents and do the things that made people feel good, made them want to come to work. Like you said, there's no sense of coming to work if you're going to be mad about it. So we're going to have fun this year. I'm going to learn you. I won't change a thing. So it was low intensity, but it really served the purpose because I got to know our school community in a special way. And then that began to build trust, right? That mutual trust. So first year principal, I would encourage you to put everyone else, in the forefront. Treat them the way you want to be treated. Honor them and respect them for who they are. Don't try to change anything. But as you learn and grow, you'll see the areas in which you can, start to affect change. So don't beat yourself up. Give yourself a chance. And I also told my supervisors, my superintendent and my assistant soup, I said, hey, I'm going to use this year as a growth year for us. So don't look for anything right out the box, right? So I gave myself some grace. I gave myself the instructional real estate that I needed to get in here and to make some change. So I would encourage you to, first year principal, take your time. You're going to be all right. You got this. Call on me. Call on your network. Rely on the strength of those people who you can glean some information from. And don't be afraid. You got this.
I love it. That's
Can I add to that, Kafele?
Yeah, right.
Because I would say I am the new principal. I am not. This is my going into my third year, and so I really am an introvert extrovert. And so for me, I had to be intentional about conversations with people. And so for me, I make sure as best as I can, the day gets busy, going to each class and going to the teacher saying, good morning, how are you doing? And just having that little bit of a small talk, because small talk, you begin to know things about people, know about their family and what they're doing. And so I would give that as a strategy. Because me, it is hard to have those conversations because I am the one that I'm very comfortable with those that I do know. I like to be quiet on certain things. And so for me, just having that opportunity to go around the school, whether it's first block, whether it's second, whatever your time is, and intentionally talk to the teachers, not about the school, not about who been bad or what's going on with instruction. Hey, how are you doing today? How was your weekend? I know you have some animals. How's the farm doing? Oh, we got snow coming. Having those conversations so that you get the opportunity to know your staff.
Love it. I'm gonna go to the next one. Where we at? And we're at Dr. Alexander. You said student connections and relationships, building time for students to connect with teachers, house system, and SEL time. That's a lot there. What are you saying to us?
In order to teach the kids, you gotta know the kids. You know, when you came to Chattanooga, you talked about, you know, you got to know what the kids are listening to.
Yeah.
I love gospel. I really do. But if I'm having a conversation with a kid and they are listening to Little Baby Gorilla, and they're not going to care about what I'm listening to, but Kirk Franklin right now.
Right.
And so when you walk into our cafeteria, their music is playing. You can hear kids in there singing. It's okay for you to rap the words that are not school appropriate because that's your time. And so I think it's really important. In order for you to teach kids, you have to understand who they are and understand the neighborhoods and what they come in which they come to. And so at Orchard 9, we have our SEL time at the beginning of the day. We do not jump into instruction. We jump into how are you? Let's build rapport with each other. Let's talk about what happened in the neighborhood. All right, we got it out. All right, let's set great intentions. Today, we're going to have a great day. We have what we started this year called the house system. And so our houses reflect our African-American and Hispanic culture. I know you just got finished with Kwanzaa, so we have a house of Ujima. We also have the house of Amistad. We have the house of Unidad. And so we kind of created our houses based off of our kids' culture so that they're connected to their particular house. And so in order to get to the instruction, we got to know our kids. And if you don't know your kids or your students, it's really hard to be able to move the needle like you would like to.
I love it. I love it. Good stuff. Anybody else want to chime in?
I just love that you start with, how are you?
Yeah.
And that you allow kids to rap the words that are inappropriate. I don't want to hear it personally. I don't. But I love the concept of that because all of us need a time and a space when we can be just us. And so I love that you allow that. That's critical and that makes a difference.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's you know, like this platform, once I finish the shout outs, the first thing I say is, how y'all doing? Right? How you feeling? And a lot of people put it in the chat, but that's an important question. Yeah. Important question to launch a day, because we don't know how people are. We don't know what the last several hours were since they left school the previous day.
That's right.
So, and as we all know, that there are teachers in classrooms with children who have no idea what it is to walk in the shoes of those children. No idea what their lives are really like, but yet I'm holding you to the same standard as a child that may not have those adverse experiences at home, right? So, good stuff. We almost there, y'all. We're not gonna do all 9. I mean, I was gonna go 2, 2, and 2, right? So we're in that second round right now. So where we at, Dr. Watkins? You said your role as an advocate in education for the underdog and the oppressed. I know you talked a little bit about it, but go a little deeper with that word advocate, because that's one of my Mount Rushmore words. That's like one of my top words in all of education. That word advocate. So what are you saying here?
Yeah. So a lot of people talk about student voice, and I absolutely believe it. Right? Like, we've got to hear what's on the minds of students. But to be quite honest with you, sometimes adults don't listen. It goes in one ear and out the other.
Yeah.
So you better have somebody like me, somebody like Principal Harris, somebody like you, Doc, to speak up and to speak out for them. And so I tell people I'm courageous. That's who I am. I don't know. That's how I was raised. I speak up and I speak out. If it doesn't look right, if it doesn't sound right, if it doesn't smell right, I'm the one who's sounding that alarm. And we have to be bold enough to do that. And it comes from also never being satisfied. I just want you all to lean into that just for a quick moment. Look at what's happening in our world, in our country, in our community, in our schools. Are you satisfied with that? And I'm just not.
Right.
This is why I'm still doing this work and driving up and down 55 to get to the places that oftentimes are forgotten. When I walk in, I am the advocate. I am the advocate. It's not how long I stay, how long it takes me to get there, but it's how long I listen and then sound the alarm. So that's all I'm saying. We've got to be that brave and that courageous group who speaks up and speaks out for those who have been marginalized, those who have been put down, those who have been cast aside. And sometimes it's not just our students, sometimes it's our teachers, sometimes it's our parents, sometimes it's our school community. So we can't lean into complacency. We've got to be courageous, and we've got to speak up, and we've got to speak out.
Yeah. Now let's stay there for a second. You said the question becomes, are you satisfied with this? So let's go back to what you were saying about the why, your purpose, right? So you came in with a very specific why. Like when I became a teacher in 1988, I was there for one reason. I did not walk into that school in Brooklyn, New York City, 1988, because I wanted to be a teacher in the fullest sense of the word teaching. I went in there with a specific intention to be able to connect with Black boys, because I was in a school where everybody was Black. Doesn't mean I was neglecting my girls. I wasn't. But my intent was I wanted to prove to the boys, their parents, this school, that city, that state, this country, what Black boys are capable of achieving when they got the right one in their midst. So in my mind, I was the right one. So when I became principal, I didn't shift my why. My why was still those boys, right? So throughout my principalship, so then, the programs we put in place will support that. So here's what I'm saying. You said, ask yourself, am I satisfied? Are you satisfied? So talk to us, therefore, when I know my why, but my reality is not consistent with my why. I'm not talking about that one that I used the example before where I'm just trying to get to retirement. I'm talking about I still want it, but my reality is just not in alignment with my purpose.
Yes.
What do you say to that person where frustration can set in?
I'm so glad you asked, and this gives me a nice little intro into what happened in 2004 when Chicago Public Schools said, hey, your school is actually going to change. It's going to become a school that it was regularly a pre-K through 8th grade school building, but now it's going to be pre-K through 3rd grade. My question was, well, wait a minute, what about those middle schoolers, those intermediate age kids? What are we doing with them? And they said, well, they'll go to a different school. That moment, I raised my hand. I said, well, I'm going to toss my hat in the ring. I'm going to write this proposal. So I did in 2004. My school got granted in 2005. Now, I tell people that every conversation I'd ever had with you, if we talked about anything educationally, I took a little note. I wrote stuff on the back of index cards, on scraps of paper, and I filed them away. And when I wrote the proposal, I pulled it out and embedded it in that proposal, because how dare you just callously say these kids will go somewhere else when we had built and formed a community with these children? How dare you just cast them to the side? So my school opened in 2005. That's what you do. So you're never satisfied. I'm not satisfied with that answer. Sometimes you open up your big mouth and you don't really know what you're signing up for, but you do it anyway. Because you've got to be that advocate for kids. And so when I opened up my school, John J. Pershing West Middle School, I used all the notes, all the conversations I had had with other people over many years about what good education was, what a great school should entail. I went back to my own childhood experience, and I put all of that into that school. The result was a school that came out the box swinging. You all think I'm feisty. My kids were feisty. I told somebody yesterday we were the first ones in Chicago to participate in and win the Having a Ball ballroom dance competition so my students could ballroom dance. We were the ones who traveled across the city to from our little neighborhood school to New Trier, which was in an affluent area, so that I could have my students learn how to fence. We had an archery program in our building. And we had that archery program because, again, I could interview all the people. And when this gentleman came in with his long ponytail, motorcycle riding, gun shooting, gun toting guy from Indiana, I said, so tell me, what do you like to do? He said, I like to shoot. I said, well, what you shooting? He said, well, I shoot, guns and bow and arrow. And now I'm leaning in because my goal was an African-American archer on the Olympic team.
Oh, wow.
I'm leaning in, I'm listening, I'm never satisfied. Do you understand what I'm saying? So when the opportunities seemingly dry up for you, then you have to create the opportunities. Now, my school, this is a long story. My school was closed in 2013, but listen, we can have that conversation afterwards. It wasn't closed because we weren't academically performing. We got caught up in the school closing rhetoric and language. But one of the things that I told them is, we're going to tell our own story. And here's our story. The successes that we had amassed. You couldn't deny that. A school that had a high percentage of students meeting or exceeding the state standards. All of that because I was never satisfied. So much so that my teachers would say, you say yes to everything. And I said, well, if it has anything to do with advancing students, then absolutely. If I'm going to pour back into you, if I'm going to help increase your capacity, then the answer is absolutely, I'm going to say yes. So when you get in those places where you're like, oh my goodness, which way do I go? Which way do I go? You form your own path.
Wow. You
go your own way. Embrace some of that that Fleetwood Mac, some 70s stuff. You go your own way. Yeah.
Love it. You everything you said, it culminated into me wanting to just pose a question to the fam out there on the other side of my camera here. Let me just pose this to everybody. I got the mirror up, y'all. Hey, folks, I want you to take ownership of this question, and then I'm going to go to Principal Harris, and that'll round us out. We do our rapid fire, and we'll be done. Listen, folks, to the fam out there, what would you do if a former student who's now an adult, you ran into this person somewhere, the supermarket, the mall, the game, the wherever, right? Crossing the street, whatever it is. And the person said to you, back when you were my principal 10, 20 years ago, whatever it is, you didn't fight for me. You were not an advocate for me. What would you do? Right? I'm not even going to ask you to write that in the chat. I just want you to take ownership of the question, because what the question is implying is that you got to make sure that you're that advocate now in real time, so that when you run across them and they don't necessarily come back to you and say, you didn't fight for me. Because I always remind leaders and teachers that the children that we serve are not going to be children forever. They're going to be adults, and then they're going to reflect back on their childhood. And in reflecting back on their childhood, depending on who we were as leaders, we may be a part of the reflection. I thank God every day one of them former students shows up on my social media or sends me an inbox or whatever it is. Because it's often, and I want you to just think about that. When you're going through your self-reflection, when you're going through your decompression, just ask yourself, is there somebody in this building that I didn't give attention to? Is there someone in this building that may feel that I'm not there for them? I haven't fought for them. I haven't advocated for them. Because they're going to remember that, right? And then if they see you, or they decide to just drop you a note on social media or an email, because they can do that, then we got to live with that, right? So I'll leave that right there. We got one more. Where are we at here? One day I'm gonna hire somebody to do all this technical stuff, like Sheikah Houston and Tammy Taylor did. Dr. Sheikah Houston and Tammy Taylor. I'm gonna grow into it, Dr. Houston. Where we at here? This is the last one. Principal Harris, you said preparing student teachers, classroom teachers, teacher leaders, and assistant principals to take the next steps in their leadership journey. You know, that's a big one. That's a big one. Particularly, you know, and it's an awkward one for that one who feels threatened by them folks that you're saying that we need to prepare. Like, so, but talk to us. What are you saying here?
Anything from, like I said before, anything from courageous conversations to helping them take those tests. I still have a few teachers who are on emergency permits, and I'm finding myself steeped right now in what role can I play in helping you take those assessments. They're different from the days that we had to take tests. It's a lot harder. It's a lot more. I've got teachers who have shared with me that they have test taking anxiety and they're struggling to get across that praxis. And so I've even had study sessions. Right? I mean, we will sit down. We will do some practice questions together. I am willing to extend myself in any way, shape, or form to help any teacher find success at whatever step they are in their journey. So, like I said, I'm finding myself right now. I've got 3 teachers on an emergency permit, and we are studying. We're studying in the time that we have. We're trying to eliminate that test-taking anxiety. We're trying to fill in some of those foundational gaps that they seem to have that are keeping them from being successful. So I'm willing to do whatever it takes. Many of my assistant principals have gone on to become principals. And again, that's just finding those opportunities for them to show their leadership at the district level, at the state level, in any way I can. So it's just, everyone needs somebody, right? We can't do these things alone. And I am all in, I'm here for it. And the conversation was had, find your why. But I try to tell folks in education that the reasons that you may have gotten into education may not be the reasons that you stay in it, right? So understand that we evolve. Understand that children have evolved and their parents and situations that we were used to back in the day when we started. It's not the same. So we have to change and evolve in the exact same way that helps us be successful in the new state of education. There's a lot of fear out there. We've got to work together to allay those fears. We've got to work together to strengthen us in the time and space that we have with our kids now. So that's who I am. That's what I try to do and extend myself for others.
No, that's great stuff. You know, and you know, there's another layer of folks in the building that I think about, and that's the children themselves. You know, when I was thinking about the teacher shortage, not the one we talk about now, but the one we didn't talk about as much back when I was a principal. And it dawned upon me. I said, but the future teachers are in this high school that I'm leading.
Oh, yes.
So I got on the PA one day and said, who are the folks who even gave just a fleeting thought to teaching? I couldn't fit the 100+ that came down to my office that day. We went up in the cafeteria. I created a club that I led, Future Teachers of America. My biggest regret in leaving my principalship, because I have several regrets. I love what I do, but I do have regrets. But the biggest regret that I have in leaving is that a lot of those kids who were in my club, I mean, we went to conferences, we did all sorts of stuff. We used as a text a book I wrote. A lot of those kids are teachers now, right? They're adults, obviously. I'm calling them kids. They're teachers now, and I can only imagine. I'll never know what it would be like to have teachers who started with you as a freshman in terms of their introduction to teaching, not in undergrad school, but in high school with me after school during those club times and going to those conferences and being on them school buses and all that kind of stuff. Here they are, many of them. Man, I could have hired some of them, you know, and I'll never know what that is, I don't think, but I can only imagine to be leading a school and there's teachers in these classrooms that were your babies. when they were high school students. You know, so I'm saying that in the context of what you said in terms of how we're nurturing people in that building all the way down to the youngster, not just the youngster in terms of content, but the youngster in terms of career in the profession of teaching. You know, so great stuff, great stuff. Look here, y'all, we're gonna go to these rapid fire questions. We didn't talk about them off mic, but these are these do not permit commas, right? Yeah, no commas, no dashes, no semicolons, none of that. This is just one sentence or even one word. If you find yourself pausing, you went too long, right? I might even say, right? Here we go. We go 7, 7, and 7. We'll start with Dr. Alexander. Is education on the right path for underserved children?
No, I think there's more that needs to be done. We need to make sure that we're tapping into kids of color and how they are learning and providing some culturally responsive pedagogy to everyone.
Can true equity occur in America's schools for Black, brown, and other underserved students?
Is that still for me?
Yep.
Okay. Can you restate, please?
Yeah, I got you for 7 altogether.
Okay.
Can true equity occur in America's schools for Black, brown, and other underserved students?
Ooh, true equity. I think we have a long way to go. I think true equity can exist. I think there's some steps that need to take place in order to ensure that there's equity for everyone.
Does Dr. Amara Alexander's work contribute to the progress we desperately need?
Yes, my work does contribute because I am a voice for kids of color and making sure that they're getting what they need.
If you could do a reset on your life, would your line of work be different or the same?
Oh, no, it's directly the same.
Why do you continue to do this work?
I love it. It gives me joy, and I want to continue to impact others in a positive way.
What particularly fires you up within the work that you do?
The kids fire me up. They give me the joy. They give me what I need in order to do the work and continue the work.
What do you dislike about the work you do?
Darn it. The pressure to excel in a short amount of time
can be overwhelming.
Yeah.
Very good. Dr. Watkins, what has been your greatest victory in the work you do thus far?
Having students and teachers come back after they've had an opportunity to reflect on my brand of commitment and dedication and discipline, structure and systems, and say, oh my goodness, that was the best thing that could ever have happened to me.
What was your greatest mistake in the work you do?
Not speaking up and speaking out enough. I did speak up, I did speak out, but I still could have had a larger impact.
What has been your greatest challenge in the work you do?
Yeah, committing to accepting that I can't reach everyone the way I want to reach everyone. There's only one me. I can't travel up and down the state and around the country as much as I would want to. I need to clone me.
Are you proud of your first year as an assistant principal?
I am proud of my work throughout my entire career.
So that takes care of the second question. Are you proud of your work? Are you proud of your first year as a principal?
I am proud of the first year as a principal, but again, remember I said I'm never satisfied.
Yeah.
I'm proud of it, but I look back and I think there's more that could have been done.
Yeah. Who inspires you in your work?
Oh my goodness, the memory of my mother and my father. Now you're gonna make me cry. Why are you asking that? My father, as he got older, said, the only regret I have in life, this man who had traveled around the world, spoke several different languages, said, I didn't get as much education as I should have. We don't know if he graduated from grammar school, from elementary school. He said, I wish I had had more education. And my mother, who pushed education, both of them I channel each and every day that I wake up.
I love it. Last one. What book do you recommend for our fam out there this afternoon?
Oh my goodness. Darn it. Listen, I've got a couple of them, but I'm gonna give you two. The first one is the 4 agreements. Please lean into those 4 agreements. Be impeccable with your word. Don't take it personal. You all probably already know these. The second one is the 15 commitments of conscious leadership. And the reason I say that, in addition to all of the books that you have written, Kafele, all of those, but the 15 commitments of conscious leadership, the first commitment says to accept radical responsibility for the work that you're doing. Commit to see the opposite of your story. Speak with candor. Identify integrity. All of those commitments are needed in education, in your life, professionally and personally.
Love it. Last group of questions. Principal Harris,
boy.
what do you want to accomplish that you have not accomplished thus far?
Oh, that's a tricky question. I'm 2 years away from retirement,
Wow.
and what do I want to accomplish? I want to see my current school achieve beyond our measures.
I love it. Are you satisfied with where you are professionally?
No, I'm not satisfied. That's only because some health issues got in the way of my anticipated journey. So no, I'm not satisfied, but I will be. I'll be fine.
Okay. What would you say to an AP out there, an assistant principal out there who continues to face closed doors to the principalship?
Don't give up. There is an abundant life outside of your current experience. Keep trying. Don't give up. I got you.
What would you say to a principal out there who's lost their leadership passion?
Principal who's lost their leadership passion. I may echo some of Dr. Watkins' sentiments and maybe take a moment for yourself, reset, refuel, and find your why.
What would you say to principals out there who've lost their leadership confidence?
Confidence. Ooh, confidence. That's a tough one. Self-reflect. Let's do some self-reflection. Let's work together in our network to get you back to a steady place. Confidence is hard. That's a hard one for me to touch or impact, but I'm here to do anything that you need me to do to reinstall it.
Good stuff. Last one, and this is for each of you. If Principal Alicia Harris was a word in a dictionary, what would be your definition?
My definition of Principal Alicia Harris, it would be a hyphenated word: servant leader.
Servant leader.
Mm-hmm.
If Dr. Amara Alexander was a word in a dictionary, what would be your definition?
Inspirational.
Inspirational. And if Dr. Cheryl Watkins was a word in a dictionary, what would be your definition?
Consistent, dedicated, focused leader.
Love it. Love it. Let me be the first to, and actually, I'm actually not the first, because we there's a culture with this platform, and what we do. Once we get to the end, we ask the fam out there to give us their favorite emojis, and they started that quite a while ago. And a fam out there, keep those emojis coming. We say that if this session resonated with you, with the folks out there, if it was meaningful, if it was useful, if there were nuggets, if you could take back to school and enhance your leadership, then we say give us your favorite emoji, since we can't actually applaud on the platform and all that. So I see the emojis have been coming. Keep them coming, folks. And then to the ones who are new to the platform, that's what we do. Let them know, right? That's how we applaud our guests. And then obviously we ask you to keep on coming back. Don't let this be your last. But I use an emoji too. It's a big emoji too. It's my Louisville Slugger, and my Negro Leagues jersey. For those of you that don't know, I'm rocking the Nashville Stars, and those of you new to the platform, all I wear is Negro League jerseys. I got a closet full of them. In the summer, we wear the pullover mesh joints. Every now and then I'll rock a Mets or a Yankees. Right, I ain't loyal to either one of them. But y'all hit it out the park. Grand slam. Every time you came to bat, there were 4 people on base, so you brought them all in, runs each. So a lot of runs scored today. I appreciate y'all. We won the World Series. Milken in the building. Delta's in the building.
You gotta get a screenshot. You gotta get a screenshot for us.
I will.
Brother Kafele.
I'll do it. I'll do it when we come off live, so y'all can
On stage.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'll post it. Right. So yeah, that's great stuff, y'all. I appreciate you. Any closing words to anybody out there? I go in order. Did I see you, Dr. Watkins? Any closing thoughts to the fam out there?
Everything is possible. Don't you dare give up. Don't be satisfied. Press your way toward the mark.
Ooh.
And I'm with you. I'm never satisfied. I don't care what I accomplish. Right? If I accomplished it, that means I could do both. I can do more. You know. So that's where I'm at with that. I appreciate it. Dr. Alexander, any parting words?
Keep doing great things for kids.
Yeah.
Keep doing great things for kids and continue to find your joy. Like Dr. Watkins said, your why. And as it's been stated, the why may change, but find the thing that sustains you.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Principal Harris, parting words.
Never stop building capacity in others. It takes all of us. It takes a village. We got this.
I love it. I love it. To the fam out there, let me thank you first for being here. We still got you between the three platforms. You know, there's two sets of numbers. I tell you all this all the time. There's the view count of people who have been in. They may have been in for a little while, then they left or whatever. That's in the thousands. I don't have it in front of me right now. I'll have it in a few. But in terms of just the peak number who are on right now, it's a little over 700. Right. So that's a lot of folks at 2.5 hours later who are still on in peak time. Right. But I think it's around 4,000 or 5,000 have been on here today. I'll check it in a little while. But stay with me. Y'all stay with me as I sign off. Don't leave when I end. Right. So we can talk off camera. To the fam out there, appreciate you being here. Join me next week for week number 247. Anybody that's new to the platform, when I say these numbers, week number 247, that's consecutive. Right. We haven't missed a Saturday in 247 weeks. Right. Since I started this. The first Saturday in May of 2020, in the midst of the pandemic, something that was just meant to be 18 weeks. That's all it was. I was going to sit here for 18 weeks that summer, first Saturday in May to last Saturday in August, and then I'm gone. But when I saw the volume of people who were watching every week, I said, well, I guess I'll keep it going. And here we are. We'll have our anniversary this May, and it will be in the year number 6, right? So next week, we got Milken week number 3. I got Omar Duran, who I met over the summer, Andrew Ribello, who was the runner-up to National Principal of the Year, the actual National Principal of the Year. She was on here about 2 months ago, Amanda Austin. So now we got the runner-up coming on, so that's going to be real nice. And my wife's there. Hey, Kim, tell your father I said peace. Tell him I said hello. And then Dr. Johnny Walker. So that's Omar Duran, Andrew Ribello, and Dr. Johnny Walker will be my guests. They're all Milken winners. Next Saturday, beginning at 10 o'clock, Facebook Live, Sean Hurt. And these are Eastern time. Create and Educate with Dr. Sheikah Houston, Dr. Tammy Taylor at 10:30, myself at 10:55, and then really not myself, AP and New Principals Academy. And then the PDP podcast with Josh Tovar and Dr. Madi Moreno, Sundays, 7 o'clock. I gotta flash this on the screen one more time, y'all. What is my value instructionally to the teachers I supervise? This is my 14th book. It's my 10th ASCD book, and it's available. So you can go to Amazon and get yourself a copy or copies, or you can go to ASCD and get yourself a copy or copies. Principal down in Florida, who was a guest on here a couple of years ago, she brought one for a whole team. I posted the picture yesterday. So, if you're a principal, get a copy for your team. I stand by this, man. I stand by every book I wrote, but it's something special about this one, right? That this is the one that gives me more joy. I've never been as excited about a book as I am this one, and I've written a lot of them, right? But this one, that's the one right there. Right, so get yourself a copy. Take it back to number 1. We was at number 9 this morning. I'm like, whoa, we slipping. Take it back to number 1. Right. School Leadership Institute with Principal Kafele. That's we call it Instructional Leadership Institute this summer. Raleigh, North Carolina, July 15 and 16. Join me. Just go to principalcafele.com, scroll down to where you see Instructional Leadership Institute. We're going from 9 to 4 both days, 9 to 4. We talking leadership. If you join me at breakfast, we talk some leadership. You join me at lunch, we talk some leadership. You join me at dinner, because I'm staying in the same hotel that everybody else will be in, we talking some leadership. So it's 9 to 4 in terms of what you pay for, but the informal conversations, we also going to talk leadership. So come on and join me in Raleigh. We've been doing this every year, but we never did it in North Carolina. We never did it in Raleigh. We did it in Charlotte. Subscribe to the AP and New Principals Academy YouTube channel. Subscribe. Be a part of that 23,000 that already have subscribed, but we want to take that up to 100,000. So make sure you subscribe and hit the notification bell after you do so that if you forget we're going live, that will let you know. So it'll come right on your screen. AP and New Principals Academy is now live. YouTube Shorts, I got rid of them. They're gone. I deleted them. But I'll be doing something different on the AP and New Principals Academy Facebook page. So if you're not a part of that AP and New Principals Academy Facebook page, click the follow button and click the like button, right? And be a part of that community over there. And then finally, visit principalcafele.com for additional resources. I should say now, finally, as I always end, your diet. Take care of yourselves, y'all. Eat right. Did I cheat during that holiday season? Yeah, I did. But I'm good now. Went to the gym the other day because, I do my exercise outside in the cold. 20 degrees, it don't matter. We just bundle up. But I decided to go to the gym the other day, and I weighed myself for the first time since the summer. And I'm still at 230, baby. I'm still at 230 because my weight during the heart attack was 260. So as long as I ain't up there, even though I was eating a little cake, a little popcorn, a little this, a little that, I was still working out outside. So I was able to keep the weight at 230. So make sure that you are taking care of yourself, your diet, your exercise. And I don't know if you're aware, folks out there, but the viruses that are out here.
Yes.
Oh man,
Right.
it's really bad. If you haven't been keeping up, it's really bad out here, right? So make sure, I'm not going to tell you what to do. Just do what you need to do to keep yourself protected and to keep yourself safe, because it's bad. If you like me and you on them planes, you might want to start rocking that mask again, right? It's bad. It's bad. But other than that, y'all, I appreciate you. We'll see you next week at 10:55 Eastern time. But in the meantime, have a great week. Have an extraordinary week. Have your best week yet. Peace. Flip it backwards. Peace. Thumbs up. Cock that fist back all the way. Count to 3. 1, 2, 3. My favorite word. Bam!
I love it.
See y'all next Saturday. But I'll be remiss if I didn't say continued thoughts and prayers to the fam and the residents out there in Los Angeles, California. We're thinking about you.
Yeah.